Oh, there you are, YouTube. Doodle 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 doo. Subscribe. Okay, October 16th, what are we watching?
Men.
Men. Oh, I forgot this was in there.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know.
We don't really know. We haven't watched it yet. Might be. Men is over. Just finished watching that, and it's kind of interesting. What I was thinking about right after watching the movie is if the film had a different title and didn't come out around the Me Too movement, what would the reading be? Because it has all of that surrounding it and attached to it. It's like the title adds so much to the movie and the time period in which it came out, because it's sort of like makes it extra provocative, I guess. Sort of like stirring the pot a little bit, that sort of thing. Like, I don't know if that's the right word. Stirring the pot, is that what it's doing? I don't know. It just is almost like, you know, um, the movie was trying to catch the wave of what was going on, and a movie with that sort of title coming out now is going to create a lot of internet chatter and stuff like that, which I'm sure it did. It's harder for me to keep up on that stuff these days. I just add to it with my videos, but it's hard to keep up with what's going on in movie news. But I'm sure it was talked about. It just seemed like extra relevant, so it's being given that title, and the moment of when it happens, it all seems to be like a perfect storm of some sort to create discussion and interest and anger and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know. That's just, I guess that's what my immediate thought was right after. But overall, I thought it was pretty interesting. There was a lot of wild visuals in it. I don't know, where should I start with this? I guess the overall theme, like being, I don't know if I would have thought about this stuff if it had a different title, but with it being called Men, you're instantly thinking of, okay, this is about men at large or male stereotypes and things like that. But like as you're watching it, you're seeing these different characters. I think this might be a spoiler, I don't know. Different characters that are all played by the same actor, all of them men. So it's, in some ways kind of like presenting an all men are the same sort of message there. But this main character's husband, so we're following this main character who really doesn't have much story to them, but is that done purposefully? Like, we don't really get to know her, but is that on purpose because the men are constantly stealing the attention? Maybe. So we don't really get to know her at all, but we do know that her husband died, and he was sort of blaming it on her because she wanted a divorce. And he's like, if you do this, I'm gonna end my life. And then he does, or maybe it was an accident, no one really knows, but like blaming her for this, you're doing this, and I'm gonna make you live with that guilt. So there's that, but that man is played by somebody else. But then all these other men, when she goes to go like relax or whatever after this death in the countryside home, all the men of that village are played by the same person. And that's when it kind of creates this like all men are the same maybe message, if that's what it's going for. But like all these men were after something like very like specific for her. Like sometimes it's like lust or attention or just, I don't know, almost like one of the characters just kind of seems to be like gaslighting her a little bit. One is like stalking her, just kind of like, all these experiences you hear about that women have. And it was kind of like, you ever, I don't know, I had like friends talk about like what is that called, like the dating apps, Tinder, stuff like that. And like men will message them and be like, hey, you want to go out on a date? And then they'll say, no thank you. And then they'll be like met with swears and stuff like that. Like the man will be like, fub, you're ugly, that sort of thing. And it was almost kind of like that a little bit. Like they were like that, the kid who was like, hey, want to play hide and seek? And then she's like, no thanks. And then he's like swearing at her immediately, like that sort of thing. So yeah, it was like showing these sort of experiences that happen. And it seems to happen online a lot. I'm sure it happens in person a lot too. So it was kind of showcasing that. And yeah, there were all okay. So there was this was a scene at the end that was wild, with like this multiple like birth that was happening. These men that were all played by the same character were birthing each other at the end. And they all had the same wounds that her husband had when he died, like fell off the roof or whatever, ended his life. And um, this one was interesting because it was like the men were all, obviously birthing themselves and being babies and sort of like chasing her a little bit. So it was kind of like showing the infantilization of men being big babies, sort of, that sort of thing. And then it was so funny, I thought anyway. So the very last one that was birthed was not that one actor that's playing sort of everybody in the village. It's her husband who gets birthed. And he's naked and he's like sitting on this couch, and then his ex-wife or whatever, his wife, widow, sits next to him. And she's like, what is it that I'm going to give this ending away, I'm sorry, but I thought it was so funny. She goes, what is it that you want from me? And then he goes, love. And then she like kind of has this look on her face like, right. Like, okay. And then it cuts to the title. So the title's not till like the end. But the way the title came up was as if she was being like, men. Like rolling her eyes like, oh, men. They, in the movie, they're like causing violence, blaming her, gaslighting her, using foul language against her and threatening her and all this sort of stuff. And then she asked, what did you want from me? He's like, love. And then she's like, oh gosh, I got all that treatment because you want me to love you. But the timing of the title was so funny. It reminded me of in Freddy's Dead. Do you remember when Freddy's daughter kills him? She like puts a stick of dynamite in his chest, and he's like, ah, and then he stops, looks at the camera, breaks the fourth wall, and goes, kids. And then he explodes. Like, it was kind of like that. Like, she was just like, men. And I don't know, I thought it was hilarious. I started laughing, and my wife was like, what was so funny? What were you laughing at? I didn't think that was funny. And then I was like, no, like, and then I think I had to like exaggerate the inflection that was sort of happening, and then like say the word men with that inflection. And then she was like, yeah, that is kind of funny. But I don't know. I just thought that maybe I read that ending wrong. I don't know, but I just thought that was kind of funny. Anyway, yeah, I thought it was interesting movie. You know, I liked all the, I guess, gore stuff that was going on. That was pretty cool. That sequence, the birthing sequence that was happening, was pretty wild. A lot of stuff on like the Bible, Genesis, Adam and Eve, going on. That was kind of another thing. It was like, you know, is it about like the fall of man? The fall of man is caused by a woman. You know, she gets to this like countryside house, and then she eats a fruit, and then the next thing you know, all these men are, you know, awful towards her. But obviously her husband was awful towards her before, but I don't know. Yeah, I thought it was an interesting movie. I don't know. I'm thinking about it anyway, so that's usually a good thing. Not gonna just watch it and be done. So on that note, I didn't think I was gonna talk this long. Anyway, did you see the movie? What'd you think of it? Curious? Let me know in the comments below, and perhaps I'll see you tomorrow for more Pure Hangout.